It's such an honor to be here, and I'd just like to say that when I'm not playing Xbox with my mate Thor, I really like to listen to my favorite podcast, Pop Culture Pastor. Hey Dave, I'm thinking about doing another revolution. Do you want to join up? I might need some help with organizing the pamphlets though.
Pop Culture Pastor.
Okay, Cody, there's been a raucous pre-taping conversation for this podcast already.
There has been.
On where Cody finds the time to scour the internet for strange stories and send them to me on Twitter and Messenger and basically any other avenue of communication we have.
Gmail.
But Cody, I guess, I don't want to over-exaggerate, but I'd guess Cody sends me 10 to 20 stories a day randomly, or tweets that have some kind of story to them. Is that fair?
I would say probably 10 to 15. But
okay, 10 to 15.
The outlier day might include 20, but there's days that I don't send you anything.
That is true. Also true. It's very hot and cold, this relationship of Cody sending me weird stuff. Oh, it's not all weird. Some of it's relevant pod stuff, which he then gives me a helping little caption that just says news. It just says news, period. And so I know that Cody thinks, oh, this is good for news. And we've got a couple of those stories today.
Oftentimes, I just want other people's reactions to what I have stumbled across.
Yeah. Well, Ethan Bush here, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, geek of the round table.
That's right.
He was just saying that he has relationships that's what they consist of you guys just sending funny things on the internet to each other.
Oh, yeah. Like, I feel like everybody my age, I'm 27, so, I'm like just on the back and forth between millennial and Gen whatever. But yeah, that's like 3 or 4 of my old college friends I haven't seen in years. And I'll get 4 messages a day on Instagram. And that's all we do.
All right.
Yeah. So another geek of the round table, Jackson, Chauncey, and I, that is literally what we do. And half the time, Jack won't read the messages that I have sent. And then he'll send me the same thing that I had sent him. And then I come back with the sarcastic remark, and he's like, just keeping you honest.
Yeah. Cody is the master of the connection, too. What I love what Cody does is he will make groups and send the relevant stories and tweets to the group of people. And my favorite thing is DJ Dangerfield, another geek of the round table, will like totally not respond for like a week. and then some story Cody posted like a week ago, he'd be like, that's messed up. And then that's it. I will give you this. You're very organized because I know when you've shared something to that group, I kind of know the categories. Like I'm either going to get a pro wrestling story, I'm going to get like an old school rap story, or basketball, generally speaking.
Yep, that's usually the 3.
And I'm honored that you include me in that group because pro wrestling, I'm usually lost. I'm like, I don't know today's pro wrestlers very much, but hi. Hello, this is Pop Culture Pastor, the podcast. My name is Dave. Cody is here.
As usual.
As I already mentioned, geek of the round table, Ethan Bush.
Heyo.
In the house. Ethan, how's it feel to be here on the big pod where you will play the movie game in just a little while?
Oh gosh, I completely forgot about that. I'm ready to go. You know what? I'm coming fresh off my first day back in school with the kids, so my brain power has never been stronger.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I sense a little sarcasm there.
No.
All right.
No.
Ethan is a music teacher at the local elementary school, an avid pop culture junkie. And here we go. All right. First news article of the day. This is for a tweet. This is a tweet from what we like to call a scooper. On X, his name is Exiled Scooper. There's all these scoopers on X. They're usually anonymous, right? Mm-hmm. So there's some wacky name, and they don't use a real profile picture, obviously, because they're sharing information about usually Marvel, DC, geek type stuff, Star Wars. Mm-hmm. That could get them in trouble, I suppose. And I don't know, even the best scoopers are about 50% accuracy. So you always take a grain of salt with it. But this Exiled Scooper released some information. He tweeted this at 4:19 p.m. on August 12th, which from when we were recording this was yesterday. And I knew we had to talk about it. Here's what he says. The reason why this Wolverine's backstory, the Wolverine from Deadpool and Wolverine, didn't leave an emotional mark on the audience. Okay, first of all, I want to stop there. Do you agree that the emotional beats of Deadpool and Wolverine came up a little short? Do we all agree with that?
I mean, a little generous.
I might get kicked out. I haven't seen it yet.
You haven't seen it yet?
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay. Well, you weren't on the pod.
Yeah.
So you didn't go see it with. But especially Wolverine's backstory was a little trite.
It was lame.
Yeah, okay. He's going the full.
Hey,
That's
all in
a
on
fair
it.
assessment.
Call it out.
It was weird to me, the backstory of that Wolverine. They kind of made it jokey too, which sapped any sort of heart strings out of that particular story. Anyways, Scooper says, the reason why this Wolverine's backstory in Deadpool and Wolverine did not leave an emotional mark on the audiences is because his backstory was changed several times during production and reshoots. The original backstory for this Wolverine was supposed to mirror the original plans for X-Men 97 Season 2. It was envisioned that this Wolverine's X-Men team had come into conflict with the Council of Kangs. The three main members, Immortus, Ramatut, and the Centurion, were responsible for killing the entire X-Men team. Wolverine was scared of Immortus and the Kangs, and he ran away when the X-Men needed him the most. This is why the public in Wolverine's universe hated him so much. With the X-Men gone, crime and corruption rose in that society, while Wolverine instead chose to become an alcoholic. So in the movie, originally the TVA wanted a Wolverine to join their mission in rounding up superheroes and anchor beings powerful enough to fight the Council of Kangs. Deadpool wanted to prove to the TVA that even this quote-unquote worst Wolverine could redeem himself and face off with the Kangs. Initially, Wolverine, same as in the movie now, rejects him, but by the end, after defeating Cassandra Nova in the Void, Wolverine accepted the TVA's mission. So, Cody, thoughts?
Man, Marvel, if that's true, because this is all alleged, if that is true, Marvel made a huge misstep by not recasting Kang like immediately as soon as Jonathan Majors like everything happened.
Yeah.
Like you either cut ties immediately or you go full NFL team and you ride or die with them. Because that's what the NFL does. If there's a player that is phenomenal and they have issues with law enforcement, we can look past it. So Disney needed to do one of those two moves, and they did neither of them, really, in the grand scheme. And so now we are stuck with a Deadpool Wolverine movie that really had no significance in the grand storytelling, really has no implications for the future. It doesn't really make you feel anything about Wolverine until him and Laura reconnect, but he doesn't know this Laura. And,
if this is true, which, by the way, the farther we get out from the Kang stuff and move into this next direction they're moving in, this information starts coming out. It all starts to make sense.
Yeah.
So like if we're just using Occam's razor here, where the most logical thing is probably what happened, this is all starting to sound very logical. All of their problems start to make sense now. What has been the problem all along for this last string of movies that I've had? The connection's bad. It's like you're not connecting this to anything, and the story's bad. Because of it all seems disjointed. Even within the movies themselves, their individual stories seem disjointed. Well, this is a perfect example why. I think that the farther we get out from this, and you know who's the lady that wrote the book on Marvel during the Infinity Years and just after that was gangbusters here in 2023. I can't remember her name, but when she writes her next book. What? I'm sorry, Ethan.
No, I don't know.
I can find it. Listen.
Listen, I didn't see the movie. I don't know who wrote the book.
You should listen to the pod more. I'm not very good with names.
Man, just call me out. Just call me out, man.
Anyways, the next book that'll be written will be written about this portion of the MCU, the Marvel Studios saga, and the absolute disaster it is. This is a disaster. Why they didn't recast Jonathan Majors just immediately is beyond me. I think they panicked because their movies had started going down. They were used to like 100% unanimous approval. And then complaining started to happen. There, whole YouTube channels rise up based on tearing Marvel down. And I think they panicked and they thought, we're just going to pivot completely. The problem is all these movies that were in development at the time had pieces of the Kang story in it, because of course they would. They were all connected. So the easy choice would have been, let's just recast.
Yeah.
Then we don't have to go around rewriting all these movies. Instead, they pivot. They have to rewrite all these movies in the middle of them. And that's why these movies feel so disjointed and so weirdly kind of not connected when the Infinity Saga was connected. Again, and we said it last on the Deadpool Wolverine thing. All you got to do is throw an end credit scene on there that's relevant to the big story.
Yeah. I don't think that this is going to age well for Marvel, and it might be to DC's benefit. But all this happens as James Gunn is exiting.
Mm-hmm.
And James Gunn, Feige has said it, James Gunn has said it.
I still think the level of his influence in the Infinity Saga is debatable. I think Feige and Gunn both like each other, and they're saying nice things about each other.
So, even if it's not to the level that some people portray it at,
he's definitely a part of it.
He's definitely a part of it. And it's known now that he was a part of it. And so if these stories continue to feel disjointed, if it doesn't really add to the universe, then I think you're going to see a lot of people say, was James Gunn a bigger part than we thought?
Well, tell them about the tweet, Cody. So while this is all going down, James Gunn tweets something that you identified as good news. And when I read it, I thought, okay, if he's on the up and up and this is all true, then it probably is good news.
Okay, so this is from a Variety article.
Okay.
James Gunn, he's done filming Superman and suggests they may not need reshoots at all. I've done a total of 1 day of reshoots on the past 2 films combined, which is bananas because one of them was a Marvel film, and Marvel has been notorious for reshooting a lot in this phase.
Yeah, I think the Captain America Brave New World movie, like the bulk of the movie is going to be reshoots, stuff that came after the initial shoot.
Mm-hmm. So he shared in this article, his tips for avoiding reshoots include over-prepare. Don't start shooting until I have a finished script my whole team is happy with. Hire actors and department heads I know I can do that they can do their jobs. Surround myself with people who will challenge me and not just be yes sir everything. Ask myself daily, are there any small imperfections in the script or what we're shooting that might end up feeling like a huge imperfection when we cut the film together? Number 6, repeat 1 and 2.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's good stuff. And whether he meant to or not, whether that was a aimed statement at Marvel, people are going to take it as that because that has been the thorn in Marvel's side, these reshoots, and what worked for them in the Infinity Saga, because they did a lot of reshoots there, but they were reshooting to get better connection there. Mm-hmm. Whereas now they're reshooting to put out fires. They're putting out fires. Mm-hmm. They're changing because they have to.
And I think with Deadpool and Wolverine, if they had kept in mind, like James Gunn had said, will these small imperfections feel like huge ones? Where like the stories don't quite line up. And so if you would have addressed some of those that could have had a couple throwaway lines that better line things up, it might have been a movie that I wouldn't be as critical about. Now, they made some choices that I wasn't super thrilled about, but I know other fans were like, yeah, we needed this.
Yeah.
So,
as we said in the review for Deadpool and Wolverine, it's a movie that works because of the tone of it, because of the kind of character Deadpool is.
Right.
It can do without the connection. It can do without some of the things that are plagued other Marvel movies. Won't affect that movie as much.
yeah.
So, yeah. Interesting stuff there. And who knows? It's from a scooper. So, as always, take it with a grain of salt. But if it's true, and it sure sounds logically like it could be true, it explains a lot of Marvel's problems over the last couple phases. Hey, we're going to play the movie game. So, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Greetings, Dave's Blurred Voice here. In a world where we do movie reviews on a podcast, you need to be aware that we are going to spoil the nerd out of this movie. We know that spoilers aren't everyone's cup of tea, so if that's you, go ahead and hit pause, see the movie, and then come back and listen to this thrilling podcast later. The Pop Culture Podcast movie review starts now. All right, we're back. It is time for a time-honored tradition like no other. The Masters. No, it's the movie game, not the golf tournament.
I am here for the Masters.
I forgot my green jacket.
Ethan,
Yes.
you are familiar with the movie game, but I will go briefly go over the rules. I have in front of me three Rotten Tomato profiles of three movies. One is a bad movie, one is a mediocre movie, and one's a good movie, according to the critic scores on Rotten Tomatoes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read you the percentages for the critic score, and you're going to pick which one you want to try and solve. And you're going to try and solve it faster than Cody solves his.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
The first movie is a 23% Rotten Tomato score. The second movie is a 56% Rotten Tomato score. And the third movie is a 92%.
Give me the 92.
He's going to go for the certified fresh 92%.
I hate when people do this.
I mean,
Rotten
it's-
Tomato scores.
I have the best chance of getting the well-liked, well-known movie.
Level 1, you're going to get the critic score you already got.
And no Google.
And the year. And yeah, phones must be down.
Okay.
There's no Googling. This movie, with the 92% critical certified fresh score on Rotten Tomatoes, came out in 1997. Do you have a guess?
Okay, so I just guess every time, right?
Yeah, you can
Okay.
guess. Yeah. I don't know why you wouldn't. Cody is holding up a piece of paper with his answer.
Indiana Jones: The Last Crusade?
That's a good guess, but no.
Okay.
That is not correct. Cody's was not right either.
Oh, I feel I was close.
Level 2.
You trying to scalp me over here?
Level 2, you're going to get the second build actor. So you know it's 92% critical score.
Okay.
Came out in 1997. The second build actor is Will Smith.
Men in Black.
It is Men in Black! Ethan nails it.
I'm not going to get
I just
mine
blew up
in.
everyone's ears. I'm so sorry.
Cody looks very nervous right now.
I'm not.
I will say, Cody, well, one of these movies is imminently guessable, but the other one might be a little more difficult, but is more in your age time.
Oh, my goodness. Let's go 56%.
He's going to go the middle one. For what it's worth, that is the one that I think is the most guessable.
I'm going to be disappointed in myself.
That's all right. Ethan, that was a good. I mean, Will Smith is a second build actor. That's pretty lucky. He got a nice one.
That was kind of
And Wild West did not do that well.
Unfortunately for Will, he was the top build actor in Wild Wild West.
Yeah.
Probably. It's only because of the presence of Tommy Lee Jones that he's the second build actor in Men in Black. All right. 1987, this movie came out with the 56% critics score on Rotten Tomatoes. 1987, 2 years before Cody graced his presence in the decade of the 80s.
Gremlins 2.
Hey, man, that's a solid guess, bro. That is a solid guess. Critic score, too. Like, that's 50%. Gremlins 2 fits right in there. It's not Gremlins 2.
Son of a gun.
But man, that's a great guess. All right.
I say it with confidence, and then I feel I should be right.
All right. But see, you're going to get a big name here as the second build actor.
Scary.
And it doesn't narrow it down a lot because he's prolific.
Oh.
But it's going to give you, I mean, it narrows it down to you. You've got to guess.
I believe in you, Cody.
To tie Ethan,
Come on.
56% Rotten Tomatoes score, came out in 1987. The second build actor is John Candy.
Oh.
John Candy, the second build actor. So not a cameo. He's the second build actor in this movie that came out in 1987 with a 56%.
I'm going to be wrong, but I'll go down with The Great Outdoors.
It is not The Great Outdoors.
Such a good movie,
Oh,
though.
man, that was a great guess, though. And it's a great movie. I love Great Outdoors.
And I feel it's critically underrated.
I do, too. I'm glad we agree on that. We should do a Be Kind Rewind soon on that one. Level 3, the audience score. This might help actually this time. 56% critical score goes up to 83% audience score. So an 83, a well-liked movie in 1987, John Candy is the second build actor.
Spaceballs.
It is Spaceballs.
Son of a
That
gun.
critical score. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So that's what threw me off.
Yeah.
I would not have
Yeah.
ever guessed Spaceballs because the critics tend to either get Mel Brooks' humor
Yeah.
and
That is borderline Mel Brooks slander.
it really is.
Spaceballs is a classic. I couldn't believe that critical score, but here we are.
Good job.
Ethan wins this time, but
Hey, we didn't have to get to the first build actor.
No.
And no tiebreaker.
That was actually, you guys were both well above average there.
Look at us go.
Well done, Cody.
Well done.
I feel like it was just a card. It could have gone either way.
It was. You did get the critical score fits with the movie you got. I'm baffled.
Sabotage.
I am baffled by the Spaceballs critic score. That's wild. All right, we'll be back with our main subject, the Olympics of pop culture. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm going to leave that in. Ethan humming the Olympics theme.
No.
We're really leaving now. All right, we're back. You know, Ethan, if you want to hum the Olympics theme. It's a grand event. Al Michaels is speaking. Do you believe in miracles? That's
Yes.
a reference from the 80 Olympics, Winter Olympic. Anyways, we're here this episode to do the Olympics of pop culture. You see what we did there? And just a
do.
couple weeks too late because the Olympics are over. But it took some time for us to flesh this out. Well, are they every 2 years now?
No. So the Winter Olympics will be in 2 years, but
Okay.
the Summer Olympics will be in 4. So they're 4 years apart from each other, like from the previous one. But
Right. It
Yes.
goes back and forth.
Because back in the day when I was a kid, they were 4 years apart, but they happened on the same year.
oh,
You would get
yeah.
the Summer and the Winter Olympics in the same year. And those were, man, I look back on that fondly, which is weird because this now I don't care.
yeah.
I don't watch like hardly any of the Olympics, but I remember watching it with my mom back in the day. I think it probably had to do with we didn't have as much to watch.
The 100-meter dash this year,
That was amazing.
intense.
I saw the highlights and I saw the freeze frame picture, and I'm just like, oh. Of course, there were people. I love how Twitter has become a place where we cry injustice about everything. Because they were like, I just don't understand why this person's foot isn't hitting the line first and they don't win. It's like, well, because it's not about your feet.
Yep.
That never has been. That's why they lean forward with their chests. We're pretty much huge fans of the Olympics.
Yeah.
That's what we're saying.
Huge.
Biggest fans. And we thought, let's do an Olympics of pop culture, which we've done something similar. I think we did a couple of years ago during the Winter Olympics.
Maybe.
We did like the Olympics of sports movies. So we're just widening it. And I thought, I got to come up with categories that mirror Olympic events.
You did a great job, by the way.
And I
you.
literally just was like, hey, we should do something around the Olympics.
Cody's the idea man.
I don't nail down the finite details. I just give you the big picture.
So the first category we're going to do, and by the way, we might put each of our selections on like a graphic for everybody, but I don't think we'll vote. We'll just say these are our selections. The opening ceremonies, but this one, it's an actual event. It's a category.
Yeah.
The opening ceremonies, these are the best cold opens in a movie. Cold open is a scene that takes place before the credits, before the title scene. You just bust in on the scene, and that's how the movie starts.
Right.
The Office was famous for doing this on television.
All the time.
Yeah, they did cold opens. So, Ethan Bush, what are your favorite cold opens in a movie? You could have one, you could have two, three, doesn't matter. What do you got?
So, number one, it's got to be The Lion King. It just, Sabina. It just boom.
Yeah, they just start with the song.
Just starts with the sunrise.
Yeah.
And then all the animals are walking in, and then
I didn't even think about that.
Simba pulls up, Circle of Life, boom.
And then when does the title comes up at the end of the song, right?
At the end of the song. So you get the full Savannah Circle of Life. So that one I picked because it's just iconic. And then this is a personal favorite of mine. I love the Lord of the Rings movies. And the second one where you just open with the mountains and it zooms in and you slowly hear Gandalf getting louder and louder. And then you bust through the crack in the mountain and he falls with the Balrog and he's stabbing it in the chest. And then right when they hit the water, Frodo wakes up and says, "Oh, Sam, it was just a dream."
Oh,
Boom.
Sam.
2 towers.
Yeah.
What a great intro.
Yeah, I forgot about those too. The Return of the King has one too. It starts off with the backstory of Gollum.
Yeah.
When he's Schmeagol.
Exactly.
It gives that story. And then, of course, it ends with the... Yeah.
But I like 2 Towers just a little bit more because of the epicness.
Yeah.
I like the third one. It's just preference.
Good stuff. Yeah.
Wow.
I completely forgot about those.
We might overlap on one.
So I only have one.
Okay.
Because there's one in particular that I really want to talk about.
I'm not going to explain mine too much. And because
I don't think you picked the one I picked.
If
Just
I
so we're
didn't,
saying.
I'm going to be amazed.
If you didn't?
Because literally this yells Young Dave.
Okay,
so my bronze medal winner, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
That's classic. And I did think of that one.
That yelled Young Dave.
Yeah. And all the Indiana Jones movies have good cold openings. Yeah.
So that one I have as my bronze. Silver medal, The Dark Knight. The Joker heist.
Yeah.
Yep. The bank heist.
Yeah.
Oh, hold the phone. I didn't even think of that one, but that's not your gold medal winner?
So I went for something that was I didn't expect it. And it was kind of unheard of at the time. So honestly, in my heart of hearts, The Dark Knight probably is my gold medal winner. But I was like, this was different. And I'm going to reward the differentness.
Yeah.
Scream. They killed off Drew Barrymore instantly.
That's a bold call.
Now that's the one I was going to talk about. I can't believe you picked that one.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So I honestly thought you were going indie.
Well, so the Indiana Jones ones are all classic, especially. Even though the first one with the escape scene from the idol and with the rolling boulder, that's iconic. I actually think Indiana Jones: The Last Crusade with River Phoenix is the superior one because there's such a heart to it. It matters to the story they're about to tell, but it just matters to the character. And I was really trying to think depth and usage when I was thinking of this. So Scream. Okay, for those that aren't in the know, this is why I didn't think you'd pick it, because you are old enough to understand.
Don't know me, child of the 80s.
You are old enough to know the atmosphere that was going on around the release of this movie. So no one really knew what this movie was about before it came out. We knew it was supposed to be scary. We knew it was by Wes Craven, who had done all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. He was kind of a horror master, and that worked for the movie where like it works because the movie is going to subvert everything. It's going to play around with the tropes. It's very much like Game of Thrones did with the fantasy genre. Scream did with the horror genre. And so all of the promotional materials for this movie listed Drew Barrymore as one of the stars of the movie. The trailer, you see her in the trailer. And when you watch the movie, she's in the first 5 minutes. And then she gets brutally murdered off. Within the first 5 minutes, you're like, what just happened?
The biggest name in this whole stinking movie.
She was no Matthew Lillard slander, but she was absolutely a huge star at this time. She was the biggest star in the movie. She was in all the promotional material. She was in the trailer. She's killed off in the first 5 minutes. Not only that, it's actually a very scary scene. It makes me uncomfortable still to watch it. It's very, very scary. The way it's filmed, the way it's written, everything about it is super duper. It makes me uncomfortable to watch it still. And the last part of why it's really smart is it sets the tone of subversion from the very beginning. Like you immediately they're subverting your expectations, which is what was so brilliant about Scream. This opening scene just sets you on that path. It's genius. I picked this one as well because I just think it's genius. It's a genius cold open. The original Scream is a classic, and then they did that Hollywood thing that Hollywood does, which they turned it into exactly what they were subverting in the first one.
Timothy Olyphant is in the second one, and so
the second one's okay. The first one is like the only one I would say, yes, I recommend you watch it. It's genius.
There's a couple more after that aren't bad.
Okay. I'll take your word for it. I only watched through 3.
The first one with Jenna Ortega and the lady that got fired. That was her sister in the movie.
I love that we never remember her name.
Yeah.
She's just the one that got fired. Moving on. Track and field is the next event. This will be the best in-game action sequence in a sports movie. So it has to be the best sequence of a sporting action in a sports movie. So it's most engaging, most realistic, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So no pod racing. Yeah.
Yes. Pod racing's not real.
Darn it.
What?
So Ethan, we'll let you go first. You're the guest.
I appreciate it. You know we had to do it. Rocky IV, bringing it home, USA for the Olympics.
Okay, I think we missed the part about realism.
Yeah. Well, it's boxing.
Listen,
boxing.
It was the Cold War.
It's the Cold War. You can't get more real than the Cold War.
I really, really wanted to put Rocky stuff on my list.
He's not a great boxer.
I just
he has no defense.
I kept getting stuck on the description that we agreed on of realistic.
Yeah.
And listen, you can't get hit as many times as Rocky and his opponents get hit and have full bouts. Like you just can't.
I will say that
they're all haymakers, Cody. They're not even jabs.
Where Rocky is in Rocky 5.
Oh, here we go.
The street fight.
Here we go.
That is legitimately how he would be after taking all those vicious hits.
Here's what I don't understand about you, Cody. The rest of us have no problem ignoring Rocky 5 and just blocking it out of our memory.
Nope.
Yet your entire Rocky thinking seems to revolve around Rocky 5.
It exists. They made it. They put it out in theaters. Mm-hmm. They put it on TNT and TBS nonstop throughout the 90s.
Take it to the street.
Yeah. Hey, Andor exists too, but I ain't watching that trash either.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. Say whatever you want on the actual choreography, but the intensity is what we're going for.
Hey,
the intensity of not just the boxing match, but everything that stands for it.
Dude, you're speaking to the choir.
Yeah,
Rocky IV pretty much sums up the Cold War, in my opinion.
And
this is coming from a history guy.
At the end, if I can change,
don't you do it. Don't you get me started, because I had that whole speech memorized.
Listen,
The whole thing.
listen, I'll just stop at this. If you want to ignore the U.S. boxing victory on our Olympic podcast, you go for it, Dave. You go for it.
All I know is during the fight, I saw a lot changing. The way you feel about me and the way I feel about you. And
Yeah.
I'm saying,
Keep going.
if you can change, and I can change, we all can change.
We are not going to have any time to get through all these if you two keep doing this.
All right, here we go. Give me your track and field best in-game action sequence in a sports movie.
Okay, so I'm going Rocky 1 for my bronze.
Okay.
Because it is loosely based on Chuck Wepner. Mm-hmm. And going the distance as an amateur against like a big time. Because
I will back that up. The realism of Rocky and when he does it again in Creed is that sometimes it's not about winning the match. Sometimes getting through the match and not getting knocked out is a win for some opponents.
Right.
So I went with that for my silver. And it's not really super much an action sequence, but I guess there is action to it. Major League. Anytime they bring in the closer and like you start hearing Wild Thing, oh my goodness.
Dude, that movie may be the impetus for the way closers are treated in Major League Baseball now. Because I don't remember that from when I was a kid where the closer would come in and there's this attitude and they play the same song. The first time I remember seeing it was in the movie Major League. Not only that, but if you do, there's behind the scenes stuff that says Charlie Sheen was the most athletic and baseball players voted that he's the most believable pitcher in a baseball movie, that his windup and everything looks good. And allegedly he was throwing 80 plus miles per hour.
That's impressive.
So there you go. There's your trivia.
And then my gold medal, and this is going to be out of the blue. In the scene that I'm going to reference, you're going to be like, really, that scene? Iron Claw. I'm going with when he wrestles Ric Flair.
Yeah.
Like him being upset about not being up for the title and like kind of tanking his career. A lot of wrestlers do that.
Yeah.
Like they have this opportunity to prove themselves even in a loss, kind of like Rocky, but they just phone it in and then they derail because of all the other things in their lives. And since that movie is based on a real life story of the Von Erichs, then Iron Claw.
I'm not going to argue with that. Go back and listen to our review of Iron Claw. We love that movie. The most unrealistic thing about that scene was Ric Flair, the actor that played.
Yeah, the woo.
Oh my. My track and field award, my best in-game action sequence in a sports movie. I really wanted to say, like I said, I really wanted to say Rockies, but I kept getting stuck on the realism part. So I'm going to go with the Karate Kid.
Oh my God.
The Karate
Sweet
Kid.
delay.
As a kid,
Come on.
that was real karate to me. And if you go back and watch that, those dudes, they look like, watch Cobra Kai. Those kids can't do karate. Very few of them. A couple of them can, but most of them, they're actors. Karate Kid is super believable because those kids could all do Taekwondo.
Right.
And it was very believable to me. And so I'm going with Karate Kid. I thought it all looked super real, and I was afraid of Cobra Kai.
With the illegal crane kick at the end.
Yeah, they look
That's
like trained
believable.
professionals. That's the most unbelievable part.
Yeah.
Is the crane kick.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going with Karate Kid. Gymnastics, the most flexible musical acts. See what we did there? Flexible. The most versatile or flexible musical acts that can cover multiple genres in music well. So this could be a band, whatever. Ethan, what's
Okay.
your...
I feel like we're going to have vastly different answers.
That's
based
the
on who
joy
we
of
are.
music, isn't it?
Okay, I'm going to preface this. I am not necessarily a fan. My sister and my niece are diehard fans of this singer.
Oh, okay.
And I should say performer.
I know where you're going with
I'm
this.
going with Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift. And here's why.
There are people out there that believe this, so you're not on your own.
So I grew up. I'm like this age, like same age quotation as Taylor Swift. Like we're a few years apart. But-
Whoa, Taylor Swift's my age. She's an 89er.
Okay. But I'm saying I grew up when she like first came out.
Okay,
Like,
I'm
so-
saying like we're the same age.
Look, I'm willing to share the 80s with you. Can you just
Okay.
share this with us? Gosh, man.
So-
Got territorial.
Swifty in the building. Okay. So,
Yes.
But no, I mean, I remember we would do the Disney Sing It on the old PlayStation 2, and her country songs would be on there. And then
Goodness.
she started.
I forgot she did that.
She did country forever, and then she started getting more poppy, and then she went like true hip hop, and then she kind of dabbled in rap and a little bit of rock with like her more edgy stuff, with like what was it, Bad Blood and stuff, and
The whole Reputation album.
right. And then like the last 2 years, it's been like almost indie music. It's been like very folksy, relaxed, like her Midnight album, and I'll tell you this. This is why she's number one for me. She's gold. I'm starting with gold.
Oh, okay.
This is why I'm starting with gold, cause her eras tour, she did everything. She didn't just go on stage and she was like, "Oh, I'm at this phase of my life." She's like, "No, this is here's a little bit of everything I've ever written, and I'm gonna perform it for you." And my sister actually went to that. Also, I 100% see her by the end of her career hitting at least 3 more genres. I just see her being like, you know what, I'm going to try gospel, or I'm going to try, go back to country, or just try something.
Yeah.
I'd see her, because the thing is, like, you can make the argument, like, I've heard people be like, she's not a singer, she's not, she's more of a performer, whatever. She is a 100% bona fide performer and songwriter. Like,
Okay.
she's just super talented. So,
Man,
yeah.
You are not messing around. You really like some Taylor Swift.
I've heard like 4 songs. But
Okay. Move on.
Yeah. Okay. So my silver medal, along the same lines, Beyonce. Like everything. No, don't shake your head, Cody. Don't shake your head, Cody.
No.
Just
No.
is this because she did the
Listen-
country thing?
No, because she popped into my head because of the country thing. But I went and I looked at her history. So she started with 90s R&B, and then went like a little bit of soul, and then went into the hip hop pop for a long time. And now she's
It's all the
branching-
same.
And now she's
It's all the
branching.
same.
Hey, you can say that. You can
I
say that.
disagree, but that's
So
okay.
feel free. But now she's dabbling in country. I'm just saying she's breaking it out. Okay, so I'm putting Beyonce just because of longevity, and then
It's fair. It's a fair pick.
And then I wasn't really feeling a third too much, but this is one of my favorite bands of all time. And the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, it's not a huge difference, but they did go through a little bit of a change. I really like the Bee Gees.
Oh, wow.
What?
Yeah.
The Bee Gees went from like, because I have a best hits album and I have another one, but they went from like small time folk, and then they had a little bit of indie inspiration, and then they took off with Saturday Night Fever and went full funk pop disco, and like they just went in hard, and then by the end of it, they kind of dialed it back in with the ballads. So,
Dude, you're one of my favorite guests now.
thank you.
Because all I got in my head is like, more than a woman.
See, I'm
More than a woman to me. Bee Gees rock, dude.
See,
I'm all about
I'm
the
not
Bee Gees.
anti the Bee Gees. I just am.
come
Like, I thought you were going to say Linkin Park. That's where my head went to.
What I've done.
Yeah. Because when I think stretching themselves musically, I think Linkin Park.
Yeah.
Cody, what do you got?
Okay, so I'm going to start off with bronze. I'll go Lady Gaga.
Okay.
Because she is constantly reinventing herself.
All right.
She's kind of like Madonna in that way. And if you're of an older crowd, you might go Madonna.
Yep.
I went Lady Gaga.
Madonna was in the running to be my pick.
So, Lady Gaga, she covers quite a few different genres. She even had a bit of a country phase. And then, like, her art pop, like techno, dance, she did a bunch of stuff. And then she did an album with Tony Bennett.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Bennett!
Yeah.
And it's phenomenal, by the way.
Yeah. it
So,
is. I've heard pieces of it. It's good.
second, silver, Pharrell.
Wow.
So,
all right.
a little backstory. Dave said one time when I sent him a news piece about Legos making a biography movie, and it's about Pharrell.
Yeah.
And Dave's like, that's too niche. We're not talking that. Get out of here, Cody.
I didn't say that.
It was.
I mean, I said the niche part.
It was all implied. But no, not only does he do hip hop and like.
I mean, he did Happy.
He did.
That's iconic.
I'll
give it that to him. It's iconic.
Like big pop bangers. And then he did some like stuff with what's the French group that's no longer
He's a
together.
top 5 producer of all time. I'm not arguing with that. He's up there. He's not Dr. Dre, but he's up there.
So then my gold, and you won't be surprised I will say it, but I think everyone else will be, because this guy not only has done indie rock, 90s grunge-esque, dance club, hip-hop, country western, he even did a Brazilian tropicala. That's a whole genre. He did a song in tropicala form. His name's Beck.
Beck. Yeah.
And beat out Beyonce for Album of the Year. Kanye West got out of his seat, went towards the stage, and was like, nope, I'm not going to make a fool of myself this time. Beck was just amazed that Kanye was coming towards him.
In all fairness and retrospect, getting Kanye out of his seat to do something impulsive turns out to not be that difficult.
It wasn't, but it was amazing that he stopped and thought about it.
He was like, I'm not coming for Beck.
And Pharrell stole his hat idea because he saw Beck wear that hat.
Oh, good.
And
Fantastic.
so, yes.
That's a solid pick. Beck, you can't argue with Beck. I went with maybe the only person I could. It begins and ends for me with Prince.
I knew you were going to say Prince Rogers.
Just did. I mean, Prince, you can really say creates just his own genre, his own style of music where you heard it, you knew it was him just from the way it sounded. But he could do it all. I'll let the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame defend my pick before me. This is what it says. On his,
he's got a quote.
On his Rock and Roll Hall of Fame page, it says this: Prince was the rare artist that could do everything well: sing, dance, write, and arrange songs, produce music, and lead a band. An astoundingly prolific and chameleonic songwriter. He released dozens and dozens of albums throughout his nearly 40-year career. He also invented the Minneapolis sound, an electric and eclectic funk, R&B, synth rock. Those are slashes, by the way. Funk / R&B / synth rock hybrid that became massively influential in the 80s and beyond. Archery, most accurate historical depictions. These are the best pop culture works that depict historical events or figures with the most accuracy.
All right, I'll go quick. So,
I mean, we could talk a little bit about it.
Okay, well, in our group chat, we talk about movies, books, or video games.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Okay.
So I got some video games in here.
Historically accurate video games.
Historically accurate video games.
Oh my. Okay,
Right.
I'm all ears.
In Bronze is one of my favorite. Now, there's no such thing as the Assassin's Guild, but Assassin's Creed Black Flag is the 4th iteration where you are a pirate. You are a pirate, and it is, to this day, I played it so many times growing up. I don't have it anymore, unfortunately. It is, to date, the most accurate pirate simulating game maybe ever. And you can say there's multiplayer games online and stuff.
Hey.
No, it had a story. You could...
Yeah.
Like, it had everything down to the world building, real life pirates with bios and historical evidences, like accurate to the buildings, because Assassin's Creed is famous for like getting the structure of the cities right.
It's so real. My best friend's little cousin got scurvy.
Yeah, sure. but it is extremely accurate to the period. And of course, there's fictional elements because there's, it's assassins versus Templars and all that. But in terms of being engaged in a 1720s, pirate era Cuba ocean.
Yeah, I got you.
It's extremely accurate. The second is a TV show. Watched it because I have 4 older sisters and a mom. Downton Abbey.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I didn't even think of that.
I thought you were going to say Seventh Heaven.
Yeah. Actually,
Gilmore Girls. Yeah.
Actually, go on. That's a great pick.
Yeah, Downton Abbey, it's like 1912 to 1920-ish, depending on what year you want to say it ends. But it's a very, very wealthy, aristocratic British family with like dozens of servants, and they live in the big manor, And it's the dynamic of them going through the war and then the post-war and the changing of the times.
Yeah.
But what's cool about it is it's not just the accuracies of what is it like in the house. It's the accuracy of what is it like for the people who work in the house? What is it like for the servants and their living quarters and their lives? What is it like for the aristocrats who, they're snooty sometimes and they're lavishly rich, but when it comes down to it, they often make decisions because they're the richest people in their province/city. And if they don't take care of the city, then everybody dies.
I am an unashamed Downton Abbey honk.
Yeah.
I like that show, and you're right. One of the subtly great things about it is it's not just about this family, but it is very much about them being teetering on the edge of a different time. Mm-hmm. It's the end of nobility.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that is explored deeply, and the character struggling with that.
Right. I mean, by the end of it, you have one of the daughters married off to an Irishman when you have the Irish Revolt, and then you have two of the daughters by the end go to America. It's the New World. Mm-hmm. So it's a complete, change of the world. It's great.
Love that. Love that show.
And my gold pick, video game by the name of Red Dead Redemption 2.
Okay. Tell me what's so realistic about Red Dead?
So Red Dead Redemption 2, I'm sure many people know, but if you don't, it's a video game based on the cowboy era, 1899. It's coming
very close to the end of it.
Yeah. It literally opens with its 1899, the end of the cowboy era. And so it's the story of your character is in a gang, loosely based on the gangs of the time, and you're going through this progression of seeing the Industrial Revolution take over, the Wild West. And of course, you got costumes and the guns are accurate and the horses gallops. I mean, not to be crass, Dave, but they animate the horse pooping when it stands still. If you stop riding, the horse will poop. That's how accurate this game is, okay? Crazy accurate. But it goes...
I'm all for crassness when it involves bowel movements.
Yeah, but it goes into like the railroad system when you rob the railroad at the beginning, and they send the Pinkertons after you, which is based which is real life, and your gangs are based off of like real criminals, and there's historical figures throughout, and by the end of it, the story is really compelling, but you just see the world change around you, extremely historically accurate, and at some points you even go to other parts like Cuba, and there's events that are loosely like. There's battles and stuff, but it's really San Juan Hill with Theodore Roosevelt, but they changed the names for the story. But it's extremely historically, they did a good job.
That's good stuff. Cody, most accurate historical depictions in pop culture.
Bronze, Deadwood. Oh. HBO classic with starring Timothy Olyphant.
So good. Not for kids.
Not for the youths. Not at all.
So much cursing.
And other things, especially... in one of the houses. But yes, historically tells about some big names that are in the town of Deadwood. And
some of them are buried there. Saw their graves. Wild Bill.
Dave can confirm Wild Bill is dead in Deadwood. The next one, and this might be a stretch, but you're relying on the narrator. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Hunter S. Thompson.
Yeah.
So this dude basically invents his own style of journalism called gonzo journalism, where he inserts himself into the story. It's not just about the event he's covering. He is now a part of the event, and you are hearing his tales of what's happening in and around the event and in and around him.
Yeah.
And so that one is loosely based on his time writing while he was in Las Vegas. And then since you went video game, I will go the most historically accurate video game ever.
Okay, Fallout. No.
College Football 25.
Why is College Football 25 the most historically accurate video game ever?
Because all the characters in the game are actually real life people. And the stadiums and the traditions around the programs are supposed to be accurate. And so,
I mean, really, it's the game we dreamed of back in the 90s, playing these college football games. I'm with you.
So I went college football 25.
My pick for most accurate historical depiction, Saving Private Ryan, but specifically one scene, because Spielberg, after the first 20 minutes, the story goes into some things where he's not really looking for realism, but he's trying to tell you this story. Mm-hmm. But the D-Day Omaha Beach scene is alternately one of the greatest scenes ever put to film, I think, but also one of the hardest to watch. Spielberg makes a good amount of exceptions, especially in the military strategy realism department. But that scene is a harrowing depiction of war and the hell that it is. I can remember stories when that movie came out where he like previewed it for veterans. They were like among the first to get to see it, and veterans were walking out in that scene, the first 15 minutes, because it just felt a little too real. And that scene is, like I said, I think I've seen that movie all the way through just twice.
Triggering PTSD. Way to go. Yeah.
It's a hard scene to watch, but also just quite amazing. The boxing, let's move on to the boxing award. Best fight scenes, the most intense and well choreographed fight scenes in movie or TV.
Okay.
Ethan.
So, starting with bronze this time, just for the sheer scope, and everybody gets their moment. It's pretty cool. I know we like to nitpick all these new movies, but Marvel's Endgame Final Battle was crazy good.
Yep.
Crazy good. You can say whatever you want on like, well, why didn't they do this? Oh, I really would have liked to see this team up.
Nobody says those things, by the way.
Oh, I hear it. People my age say that. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That seems.
I mean, I have critiques of it, but
that final battle's perfection. I don't know what we're talking about.
We won't get into it. We won't get into it. It's not really complaints as much as people just wanting more.
The only mistake is Iron Man sacrifices himself and not Captain America. Just saying.
So then
this is what I'm talking. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. So, but yeah, I mean, from the opening, the 3v1 versus Thanos, to everybody showing up out of the portal, to Iron Man sacrifice at the end, just really good. But I got two more above it.
Yep.
Okay. Real quick. The 3v3 kaiju versus Jaeger Pacific Rim. Dun 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 dun.
Dude, the people that like Pacific Rim are all about it.
Oh my
Pacific
gosh.
Rim was good.
It's so good. And it's intense because I mean, like, you slowly realize, like the kaiju, like they got in Charlie Day's head, and now they know how to beat the Jaegers, and they exploit and you're just like, no.
I forgot Charlie Day was in that.
Yeah, Pepe Sylvia. Yeah. But number one, it's gotta be Anakin versus Obi-Wan, Star Wars Episode 3. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's the longest lightsaber battle recorded to this day. It's just over 10 minutes, and the emotional impact it makes it more intense than anything, because you know the ending if you're like us and you've seen the other ones.
Yeah, I think the Duel of the Fates in Phantom Menace is the most beautiful lightsaber scene ever put to film. But I think you're right. I think the fight between Obi-Wan and Anakin at the end of Revenge of the Sith is the most intense.
Yeah, because I mean, you got the emotional element, but also they're master and apprentice, so the fight is just a perfect mirror match.
I remember in the movie thinking, like, when he chops his legs off.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I did not expect him to go. They went there.
Yeah, and then you were the chosen one. Tell me you didn't cry.
In that.
Tell me you didn't cry.
Oh,
Tell
I
me
did
you
not.
didn't cry.
It's good. Cody never cries, so that's not mean.
I'm a machine.
Cody, best fight scenes.
Okay, so I will go Rocky IV.
Yeah.
That one.
I'm not going to argue with
that
you.
one had weight to it, and it also it holds up.
Absolutely. And this isn't looking for accuracy.
Yeah.
So it's just intense, best fight scenes, and the choreography and everything about it. Heck, Sylvester Stallone almost dies filming these
Yes. Scenes. So I went Phantom Menace because I do think that it is so intense.
I can't fault either one of those picks.
And I'm really ticked that you kill off that character so quickly.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, I know he comes back.
Yeah,
in Clone Wars cartoon.
I don't got time for that. And then I'm going to go The Dark Knight Rises, both fight scenes between Bane and Batman. You get Bane winning the first one, Batman and Bane in the middle of all the street chaos.
It's really very much like Rocky IV.
It is.
One might say.
But Batman's in it, so yes.
My pick, and I'm enjoying that I'm going a little off the beaten path here from you guys. I'm going to go, first of all, Kill Bill 1 and 2.
Oh, those are good.
Are comically bloody and violent to the point where it's cartoonish. The violence and the fights are kind of cartoonish.
The tomato sauce.
Which is why the fight that I'm going to talk about is so shocking. So I'm talking about The Bride, played by Uma Thurman, and Elle Driver, played by Daryl Hannah.
I was hoping you were going with that one.
So the thing I needed to tell you, if you've never seen the movie, if you need reminding, Elle has already lost one eye in the course of her life. So they're fighting in a mobile home, which if you're like me and you've lived in a mobile home, it's very claustrophobic.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like it's just a very brutal fight. It's loud, and the confines are giving the viewer this feeling of claustrophobia. And the final blow, right when you feel like Elle is getting the upper hand, Uma Thurman's character, the bride, plucks her good eye out, which for the viewer gives you this, first of all, just gnarly thing to watch, but also the psychological trauma of what you've just witnessed, because you immediately put yourself in her shoes of like, oh my God, I can't even imagine losing my sight in one eye and then having someone pluck my good eye out, knowing that like you're done seeing and someone did it to you. Oh, it's one of the most psychologically hard scenes I've ever watched, and it's just it's an unbelievable fight scene.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Last category, the closing ceremonies, if you will, the best in credits songs, but not just in credits, in scenes. So we're going to highlight the best songs used during the very end of the movie and the end credits, which perfectly encapsulate the film's theme or mood at the end.
Okay, you got this.
Okay. So I'm going to start with bronze, work my way up.
Yep.
So the ending to Dark Knight, where, you know, it's like, he's not the White Knight, and it starts building music. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
He's the Dark Knight, black, dun, 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 and then credits roll. Like, so it's building, and then right when it cuts off the movie, then you explode with the Batman theme.
Those movies are all a masterclass in how
They're
to end the
good.
movie with the music, because Dark Knight Rises is unbelievable the way it builds. I mean, that builds, is that Hans Zimmer?
Pretty sure.
That builds for like 8 to 10 minutes. It just keeps building and building and building, and you think the movie's over. And
Think
you're like,
again.
and you're like, why is this music keep building? What are we? And then it hits, like, you know, when they nod at each other at the
French cafe,
cafe, and you're just like, that was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So great bronze choice. Number 2, end of Transformers 1. The Linkin Park came back. Linkin Park. What I've done. Right after the Optimus speech, we are here and we are waiting. Like, iconic. So good.
I think that we mentioned Linkin Park twice is we got to retire now. In one podcast, we mentioned Linkin Park twice.
Okay, so that's silver. But number 1, still to this day, one of my favorite series, Separate Ways by Moby Dick. The end of Jason Bourne movies. The end of where like, especially the last one, Ultimatum. Like, I'm not counting the newer ones, but like the third one, where, you know, he gets shot off the building and the CIA is all revealed, and then the news goes, but Jason Bourne is still at large. Whee, whee, and then he swims off into the ocean.
Yeah. That's a good pick too. Man, that's a little under the radar.
Yeah, but it's the end of every single one of his movies.
Yeah.
It's his theme.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yep.
Cody, what are your picks for best end scene / end credit songs?
So I only have one.
All right.
Because I literally asked myself this question and one instantly hit, and it hit in my soul.
Yeah.
You've heard of a little band called Tears for Fears.
Yeah, I have.
You know me, child of the 80s. Mad World at the end of Donnie Darko, in which you get the whole scene of everyone Like, because it flashes back because Donnie reset everything by dying. You get all these people that are like tearful, and the mom and the girlfriend look at each other and they know something's different. Something's not right. And it's a mad world. And yes, Gary Jules.
Update. I still have no idea what's happening in Donnie Darko.
I
Never seen it.
love Donnie Darko. Like, if we ever did a Be Kind rewind, I would just take over.
You would have to carry that episode.
I
would
would.
just start off by saying, I have no idea what's going on in this movie.
Oh.
I watched it and I'm clueless.
If you watch the director's cut, I think it gives away too much of what's happening.
Okay.
So it's one I actually like the theatrical cut
It
better.
makes too much sense, Dave. You can't watch the director's cut.
No, it lets you in on like too much detail, and then like it takes away from the main story.
Yeah.
But no, Mad World, Michael Andrews, Gary Jules, chef's kiss on how to end a movie.
Yeah. I think the easy, obvious answer for me was to go with Simple Minds, Don't You Forget About Me, from the end of the Breakfast Club, because that's absolutely iconic as Ethan puts his fist up in the air.
I don't even think it's the most iconic of the 80s.
It's the most iconic
Brat.
of the 80s.
No. Say Anything?
Yeah, okay. That's not that's not
The boombox.
it's not necessarily the end of the movie, though.
It
we
feels
go.
like the end of the movie to me.
The conflict begins. Here we go.
But I'm going to go with a couple more recent ones because Simple Minds, Don't You Forget About Me is iconic. But yeah, there was a lot of good 80s scenes. Like, even it's a song I don't really remember, but the end of 16 Candles is pretty iconic.
Yeah.
But I don't even remember the song. But these I do remember. Lose Yourself by Eminem, that plays at the end of 8 Mile, is still one of the most adrenaline pumping rap songs of all time.
Loosely based on my real life story.
If you play, if you played it right now, Cody would probably throw a football over the mountains.
Yes.
It's such a pump up song. But also, and this is I thought for sure Cody might pick this, but the end song and scene of Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is so perfect. Maybe the best usage, and perhaps it's fitting that it's James Gunn, because it might be, I think, one of the best usage of a song to portray the tone and the ending of a movie ever. And it's, I'm biased because I love Florence and the Machine. I love that band. But their song Dog Days Are Over is the song that's played. It's so perfect that even Florence Welch, the lead singer of Florence and the Machine, she ugly happy cried the first time she saw it. The use of her song in that final scene. It's on her TikTok. If you want to go check it out.
Happy cried with her.
Yeah, because that was the thing. You're so happy for these group of friends. And it's just awesome. So yeah, that's where I'm at. What were your picks for all of these categories that we went through? Let us know on the social media posts for this episode. As always, make sure and follow us on social media. You can follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok. Also, we have a Facebook community group that you should join that allows you to be a little more interactive with us. A lot of people in that group as well. Make sure and rate, review, subscribe, all that stuff. Share us. Does us a world of good. And keep on trucking. I don't know what that means. See you next time.